I impatiently paced around my room, worried. School was starting soon, and that was bad news to begin with. I still hadn't gone over Joshua's death and don't think I'd be able to for the next year or so, though I wasn't crying all the time anymore, which was a very appreciated improvement. The signs of school beginning were in full swing. Every store in the city was promoting their back-to-school items in a happy manner, which I would consider false advertising because going back to school is not a pleasant experience. The August breeze carelessly drifted into my room through the open window, caressing my face lightly as it drifted. The second half of summer break, subsequently after Joshua's death, was fairly boring. I had no one to play with on my game console and no events to attend. The city's firework display for the 4th of July was canceled due to the horror Fair Ordeal, and summer break became dull and horrendous after the 4th of July. I'm sure you can relate. I was surprised at how barely any news outlets ever talked about the horror Fair Ordeal. Nobody knew what happened to Mr. Franklin or that Gabriel dude. I wasn't worried about him, though. I had my own slew of emotions to deal with, so worrying about Mr. Franklin was completely impossible. Even though, as I already mentioned, I still hadn't gone over Joshua's death, I managed to grasp my emotions tightly, and now that there was more mental space freed in my mind, I started worrying about high school. Remember how I started talking about the back-to-school shopping? Well, it was that time of year again. My parents and I all got ready to head to Walmart to get supplies to prepare myself for high school. They were eagerly getting ready while I sloppily got ready. "Leo," my mom yelled from downstairs. "You ready?" I ignored her question and continued getting my socks and shoes on in a groggy state. Then I headed downstairs. "What has gotten into you?" my mom asked as she saw my figure emerge from the stairwell into the living room. "I thought you would be ready sooner." "Well, maybe it's because I'm not ready for school, especially not high school." I saw my mom grab her keys laying on the couch after I spoke. "Let's get going." My mom slammed the front door behind her as she rushed to the car. I sighed. I had to accept the upcoming reality in my life after 3 peaceful months of summer. School, Monday through Friday for the next 9 months, waking up at 6 a.m. and hefty amounts of work. I walked outside a few seconds after my mom did. The sun completely blinded me for a moment right when I opened the front door. After my vision returned to normal, I began walking to the car. I hopped into the car before my dad pulled out of the driveway. "What school did you guys enroll me in again?" I asked, removing the silence that hung in the air, my voice silencing the quiet engine of this car. "Greenfield High School," my dad replied as he turned the car onto the busy avenue intersecting my neighborhood road. I stayed silent as I thought deeply about that school. That's one of the most popular schools in my city. I was excited. My dullness regarding school was essentially flushed out of my brain. Greenfield High School is also much safer than its middle school counterpart, which is a good thing, especially with all of this Mr. Franklin crap going on. The drive to Walmart was relatively boring. The same packed roads of Greenfield, the same sky, and the same clouds suspended in place almost all the time were the story of living here. My parents were blasting the normal pop music that they loved listening to. My favorite genre is soul music. I haven't met anybody who also likes it. I wanted to get one thing from Walmart and one thing only, a bag of potato chips. I loved potato chips and hadn't eaten them in a long time. On our drive to Walmart, we passed the fairgrounds. Yes, the fairgrounds where that explosion happened and where Mr. Franklin overthrew the circus show. The once lush grass that completely covered the ground of the fairgrounds was dried out. It appeared that all the buildings that made up the fair were taken down. The only remaining greenery was a couple stems of unparched grass and a ton of weeds closest to the sidewalks. The whole perimeter of the place was completely covered in police tape. That was strange, but I peacefully ignored it. I wanted to get this Walmart shopping over with, but I didn't have the time to think about that. 3 hours later, coming out of the Walmart shop with all those, coming out of Walmart with all those bags stuffed with groceries was a major relief for me. The sun was beginning to set, and the sight of various birds flying over the horizon was beautiful. During the time I was shopping with my parents, I wasn't thinking about anything. Not about Joshua's death, not about the police tape that I saw earlier, nothing. It was a peaceful escape from the reality that my life has become and what it is about to become.